The world of crime is so dark, so expansive, so elusive at times that you may never fully know what someone is capable of. It could be someone you know well. It could be a complete stranger in your vicinity. The stories on today's episode touch upon these thoughts and the cases around them. You are watching Prime Crime, a WION special series. I'm your host Dharmjot Kaur. Welcome to the show. On the 10th of September 2025, two things happened in the US. Now, the nature of both incidents is the same.
You guys okay?
The root cause is the same.
Okay, love you.
But one incident in particular has triggered more backlash, debate, divide, and fear in America than any other similar instance.
You know how many mass shooters there have been in America? Great.
Charles James Kirk, well known as an American right-wing political activist and public speaker. He was killed by a gunman, a gun advocate killed by the very cause he supported unconditionally. The incident took place at Utah Valley University. An estimated crowd of 3,000 were gathered in an open area where Kirk was killed rather publicly. Let's take a look at how the entire incident unfolded and how America has been grappling in its aftermath. At around noon, Charlie Kirk arrives to an eagerly waiting crowd at Utah Valley University. Dressed casually with the word freedom sprawled across a white t-shirt. Kirk throws out a few hats into the crowd before getting on the stage and taking a seat at the raised platform. Now, things are normal for approximately the first 15 minutes. Charlie Kirk is seen having a conversation with someone in the crowd. That conversation, ironically, was about gun violence in the US. In the middle of that, a gunshot rang out. Charlie Kirk's body slumped back in the chair. As a bullet hit him, chaos ensued on the university campus.
You guys okay?
Now, the 31-year-old with a bullet in his neck was carried out quickly and taken to a regional hospital nearby. Within minutes, many things began happening simultaneously. Several authorities arrived on scene within minutes. Persons of interest are taken into custody, questioned, and then released. Till this point, Charlie Kirk's condition is unknown. More than 2 hours later, US President Donald Trump announces news of Kirk's death in a social media post. Multiple agencies and departments worked hand in hand to nab the suspect and solve the case. On the morning of 11 September, an FBI special agent addresses a press conference. Now, he reveals that authorities have recovered what they believe is the murder weapon, a high-powered bolt-action rifle. The FBI said that the weapon was found in the woods. Eventually, more details emerged via media reports about the gun being an older imported model of a Mauser .3006 caliber bolt-action rifle. It was also found wrapped in a towel. Later, the Utah administration made public a video of the suspect and appealed for information about him. In less than 48 hours, the suspect turned himself in. He was identified as Tyler Robinson, a 22-year-old white male. If we look back at the crime scene at the university, the shooter was located at the rooftop, roughly 200 meters away. But the building was within the Utah Valley University campus. Now, details later revealed that the shooter arrived on the campus 2 hours prior to Kirk's arrival. The entire circumstance raised questions and concerned possible security lapse. It raised a very pointed question. How did the 22-year-old walk into campus with a rifle and go undetected? Now, these are all established, tangible facts of the case and some very real questions, but many of them have been sidelined. But now comes the rhetoric, the blurred lines, the noise around a public figure who was either revered or hated. There was no in between. But there was unanimity across the political spectrum on the fact that nobody deserves to be killed for his opinion. In his lifetime, Charlie Kirk had his share of contentious statements, be it on the black community, the transgender community, immigrants, abortion rights, and whatnot. But this is where the story becomes a tale of contradictions. Charlie Kirk had vehemently opposed gun control laws. On the contrary, he backed gun ownership in America as a God-given right. At an event on April 5th, 2023, he said this, and I'm quoting him here: "I think it's worth it to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our God-given rights. That is a prudent deal. It is rational." Now, almost 2.5 years later, Charlie Kirk was killed by the very controversial gun rights that he defended, justifying the many innocents murdered in mass shootings. And mind you, a substantial number of these shootings are in American schools and American universities. In fact, the second thing I mentioned when we first began the story is of another shooting that took place on the same day that Charlie Kirk was killed. It happened in the mountain town of Evergreen, more than 400 miles to the east of Colorado. A 911 call came in to first responders of a 16-year-old student opening fire with a revolver on high school grounds. Now, in the shooting, he injured 2 fellow students before turning the gun on himself. But this story from the same day never really saw the light of day. And here's why this difficult conversation is important. Charlie Kirk's murder is being called a watershed moment in the US. The single event has triggered a more powerful reaction than any act of gun violence has in recent past, political or not. The question now is this: beyond the left versus right hate spewing, beyond the growing divide, the fear-mongering, will the American administration, the congressional lawmakers on both sides of the spectrum, talk about the long-drawn issue of gun laws in the country? Or even now, will the topic be avoided?